Now, let me tell you too that while Americans are over there worried sick about losing New Orleans, Napoleon's big dreams and big plans of this amazing French empire, they were beginning to collapse. The walls were closing in. So it started in the Caribbean. This was France's most valuable colony. It was not Louisiana, if you can believe it. It was, and I'm going to say this wrong, Saint-Domingue. It was modern day Haiti is what it was. And basically, when I say Haiti, I want you to think sugar, I want you to think coffee, and I want you to think enormous wealth. This was a huge financial win for whoever owned that at the time. However, in 1791, the enslaved people of Haiti actually rose up. Now, what followed was the largest slave revolt in all of history to this day. So, France is forced to send in armies. They send in generals, they send in tens of thousands of troops. And that seemed all good and well, except for they did not realize that Haiti was going to take them down, and the elements and the diseases were going to take them down more than even the people resisting their power. Now, let's just talk about yellow fever for a second because this is a disease that tore through French ranks with merciless efficiency. Soldiers were passing away faster than their replacements could even arrive. Now, Napoleon's brother in law, he was sent to crush the rebellion. And he ended up passing away. So, one by one, these pillars of the French Empire are just crumbling beneath them. And then one thing that was extremely terrifying to a young Napoleon is war with Britain was looming yet again. Napoleon very quickly needed to get his hands on some ships. He needed money and he needed to focus. He could not have his energy scattered about the way that it was. Now, Louisiana had turned from this wonderful grand vision of French leadership and expansion, and now it actually looked a lot more like a liability. This was a vast territory that he was not prepared to defend. He did not have the ships, the men, the money, the resources, or the motivation to handle this particular chunk of land in the name of France, especially against the world's greatest navy. So, let's cut to the year 1803. Robert Livingston, back in France, is called in by the French foreign minister. Now, Livingston expected a lot of hard bargaining over New Orleans. He's gearing up. He's like talking to himself in the mirror. He's like, "You got this. You're strong. You're firm." He's going over his bullet points. He's playing Eye of the Tiger in the background. And instead, he walks in and he heard something that was so shocking to him. He was like, "What? Please repeat that," because France was not just willing to sell New Orleans, the city. France actually wanted to sell the entire Louisiana territory, not just the port, not the city, not even just a good chunk of it. They were like, we need to get rid of the whole thing. Flash sale, buy one get one. Now, at this time, Louisiana was not that cute little boot that we know it to be. It was actually that cute little boot plus a whole strip of land that was stretching from the Mississippi all the way to the Rocky Mountains. It began in the Gulf of Mexico and it stretched all the way up, covering parts of Montana and all that, all the way into modern day Canada. Now, Livingston, he hears that they're willing to sell all of this and he is stunned. I mean, full shock. They didn't even prepare for this. This was not in his instructions. This was not something that was authorized. This was not even remotely anticipated. He had no idea they were going to do this, but he very much understood the moment. And he later wrote, "We have lived long, but this is the noblest work of our whole lives." He was like, oh my gosh, this is huge. So, together with Monroe, he actually says, let's go ahead and do this. He arranges and agrees to the purchase. It's $15 million, which equates to about 4 cents an acre. And with a handshake, this deal reshaped the entire map. When word reached Jefferson, He did not just go into full celebration mode. I mean, it was not just kitty cats and party hats over there. He was panicking. This was full on cortisol. Had his agents overstepped? Oh, yes, they had absolutely overstepped. Was the deal unconstitutional? Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially by his standards. He was very literal with the Constitution. And Jefferson, he even considered making a constitutional amendment to make this purchase more legal and to make it coincide with the Constitution better because it was like a itch in his brain that he couldn't scratch. He did not like it, but he did know that time was very, very short. Napoleon could very easily change his mind. He did not have a reputation for being some cool, go with the flow, stable character. On top of that, the British could very easily intercept the deal, and that was going to be a hard pass. Absolutely not. We cannot let that happen. Congress itself could actually say, we're not doing this either. So Jefferson, he actually did something very rare and very out of character for him personally. He very quickly swallowed his doubts, swallowed his fears, and he sent the treaty straight to the Senate. And in October 1803, the Senate ratified the Louisiana Purchase. No amendment, no delay, just swift action. And the United States ended up doubling in size overnight. Now, with this purchase, it gained control over the Mississippi River, the port of New Orleans, which was, the big one. It inherited vast farmland, untold natural resources, strategic depth against foreign powers, but it also inherited a lot of uncertainty and a lot of questions because who lived on this land? These were the lands of native nations, indigenous people that were already there. They were already sovereign. They were established. They were sacred. Then there was the question of slavery, which was always an impending question for young America. Would the new states allow slavery? This issue could and did fester, and then it exploded. And we will get to that in future episodes. But this purchase actually strengthened the nation. However, it simultaneously set the stage for a lot of future conflict because empire, once acquired, never arrives without consequences. All this to say, the Louisiana Purchase changed literally everything. America was no longer a narrow republic hugging the Atlantic, it was continental. It went from sea to shining sea, almost. We still had some other things to work out. However, it made westward expansion very, very inevitable. It made America a lot harder to conquer, and it made it much wealthier. It made it much stronger, and somehow much more divided. And perhaps most importantly, it proved something very fundamental. The United States, when pressed, was willing to bend its ideals to survive.